Most people go to the park for a picnic, but we like a little more history with our sandwiches. Welcome to A Picnic with the Past. Every episode, we visit a different cemetery, learn a few fun facts, and have lunch with someone who's made their mark on the world, even if they've been resting here for a century or two. So grab your picnic basket and your curiosity, because today we're having lunch with Clara Brown, the angel of the Rockies. Before we open the picnic basket and begin our conversation with Clara Brown, let's step back in time, because this isn't just a cemetery, it's where Denver's earliest pioneers, dreamers, and trailblazers found their final resting place. This is the story of Riverside Cemetery. Riverside Cemetery was established along the Platte River in 1876, making it Denver's oldest surviving cemetery. This place has seen nearly 150 years of Colorado history, and it's the final resting place of many of the state's early pioneers, including John Evans, Augusta Tabor, Miguel Otero, Bernie Ford, and of course, Clara Brown. But before Riverside, Denver's first cemetery was located right where Cheeseman Park sits today. And here's where the story turns a little dark. It's widely believed that thousands of bodies still remain buried beneath Cheeseman Park. When the city decided to convert the old cemetery into a park in the late 1800s, families were told they could relocate their loved ones, but only for a limited time. Many couldn't afford to, and the city eventually hired contractors to handle the job. Unfortunately, this was done poorly, even gruesomely. Some workers allegedly dismembered bodies just to fit more into a smaller coffin, trying to make a quick profit. This process became such a horrifying mess, the city stopped it entirely, leaving as many as 2,000 to 3,000 bodies still beneath the park. Even today, bones and full skeletons are occasionally uncovered. Most recently, 3 were found during an irrigation project in 2010. This unsettling history is what led Denver's citizens in the 1870s to demand a better, more beautiful resting place for their loved ones, and that's how Riverside Cemetery was born. In early 1876, John H. Morrison organized a meeting to propose a well-maintained cemetery outside the city limits. The group incorporated Riverside Cemetery Association on April 1st and purchased 160 acres along the South Platte River. The first burial here was Henry H. Walton, laid to rest on June 1st, 1876. The cemetery was designed to be serene and picturesque, inspired by Mount Auburn Cemetery near Boston, the first garden-style cemetery in America. It featured winding paths, lush trees, a central rose garden, all overlooking the mountains. Historian Jerome Smiley once described Riverside as a most beautiful city of the dead. Today, many of those original trees are gone, but the peaceful layout remains. Riverside still holds Denver's history, carved into weathered limestone and zinc, decorated with elaborate statues and family mausoleums that speak of wealth, love, and loss. Among its 77 acres rest not just politicians and pioneers, but freed slaves, suffragists, and soldiers, more than 1,000 Civil War veterans, some still unknown. But as Denver grew, Riverside's glory faded. Industrial expansion surrounded it with railroads and factories, cutting off its mountain views. Water rights were revoked, and by the 1970s, the once green landscape began to dry out. Still, dedicated volunteers and preservationists refused to let Riverside be forgotten. Thanks to their efforts, it was added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 1994. Today, it's both a working cemetery and a living piece of Colorado's past, a reminder of the people who helped build the state and of those stories still buried beneath the soil. Riverside Cemetery has such a rich and layered history. Every path seems to lead to another story waiting to be told. And today we're here to learn about one of its most remarkable residents. Her name is Clara Brown, a woman whose strength, kindness, and unshakable faith helped build the foundation of Colorado. Let's unfold her story together. Clara Brown was born into slavery around 1800 in Virginia. She was bought and sold many times, treated like property instead of a person. At 18, she married and had 4 children. But tragedy struck when her husband and her children were each sold to different owners. Imagine the heartbreak, knowing your family was scattered across the country and you might never see them again. But Clara made herself a promise. She would spend her whole life trying to find them. In 1856, her enslaver, George Brown, passed away. His family helped Clara gain her freedom, and for the first time, she could make her own decisions. Her first mission? Find her family. She heard a rumor that one of her daughters, Eliza, might be out west. But because she was black, she wasn't allowed to buy a stagecoach ticket. So Clara did something few would dare. She joined a group of prospectors headed to Colorado and walked nearly 700 miles, cooking and caring for them along the way. When she finally arrived in Central City in 1859, she became one of the first black women pioneers in the gold mining towns of Colorado. In Central City, Clara started small, washing clothes for miners, cooking meals, cleaning cabins. Her work ethic and kindness made her beloved. By the end of the Civil War, she had saved over $10,000, an enormous amount for that time. But instead of keeping it all for herself, she used it to help others. She opened her home to the sick and the injured, took in those who had nowhere to go, helped deliver babies, and even supported 4 different churches, regardless of denomination. To everyone in town, she was simply Aunt Clara. Her generosity didn't protect her from hardship. A massive flood in Denver destroyed property records proving what she owned. And years later, a fire burned down her home and investments in Central City. In a single night, Clara lost everything. But the community she had cared for all those years cared for her in return. They built her a cottage in Denver, proving that kindness has a way of coming back around. Even after losing her fortune, Clara never gave up her search for her children. She traveled through Kentucky, Tennessee, and beyond, helping other freed families along the way. Then, in 1882, when she was nearly 80 years old, a letter arrived. A woman in Iowa named Eliza was looking for her mother. Clara gathered what money she could and traveled to meet her. And after 47 years of separation, mother and daughter were reunited. Their reunion made headlines across the country. After a lifetime of loss, Clara's dream had finally come true. Clara Brown passed away just 3 years later in 1885. At her funeral, the mayor of Denver and the governor of Colorado attended, a powerful tribute to a woman who began life enslaved and became a legend of compassion. Her name lives on in Colorado history. A stained glass window in the state capitol, a seat at the Central City Opera House, and a plaque marking the first church she helped establish. They call her the Angel of the Rockies, but really, she was a woman who believed in community, kindness, and hope, even when life gave her every reason to give up.
Today we're here with
Clara Brown.
Clara Brown.
She was known as the Angel of the Rockies, right?
The Angel of the Rockies. Yes. Very, very interesting woman. She was a slave.
She was enslaved in Virginia.
Born in 1800.
Sold multiple times throughout her life. That's really sad. She married at 18 and had 4 children. They're all sold, correct, right?
Yep. Her husband and all of her children were sold off. And she vowed for all of her life to find her kids.
That's a pretty noble thing. I would want to.
I mean,
But back then, the life of uncertainty. And then in 1856, the man who enslaved her died.
he died, and his family, helped to free her.
Oh,
Yeah,
George Brown.
George Brown.
Yeah.
When he died, his family helped to free her. And that's when she goes on her mighty quest to find her children.
She hears her daughter, Eliza, might be in the West. She's not about allowed to buy a stagecoach ticket because she's black, so she walks.
She walks with other miners, and she gets hooked up with these miners, this whole group of miners, and takes care of them along the way. But they all walk 700 miles to Colorado.
From Virginia, oh my gosh, right? Well, that's where she was initially from.
Yeah.
In Central City, that's where she lands in Colorado.
I cannot even imagine walking 700 miles. I'm sure there were coaches and maybe some horses.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she washed their clothes, cooked for them along the way.
Just having to find your family.
She becomes the first Black woman pioneer in Colorado.
Yeah, she had a very successful legacy, even though she, wasn't on her main quest.
Yeah, in 1859 to 1865, in Central City, she opens up a laundry for the miners and later cooks and caters for the community itself.
She's involved with orphanages and churches as well throughout Colorado, isn't she?
Yeah, she earned $10,000. She had saved up $10,000. Back then, that was probably like $1 million.
Mm-hmm. That had to have been an astronomical amount, especially for a woman, let alone a black.
Yeah.
I imagine she had many enemies or haters.
Just because she was black and a woman, yeah.
And that she overcame slavery and was trying to make a name for herself.
Well, that's the Civil War era. Okay, so she takes her money, all that $10,000, and invests it in real estate, mining claims, and becomes financially independent. Yeah, I bet people did not like that.
Yeah. Investing in her future, though. Even without her husband and kids, she still was very successful, had a huge heart.
Yeah, she would help the community during the Civil War. She used her money to house the sick, feed the hungry, and help mothers. Locals used to call her Aunt Clara.
Can't get much more pro-life than that.
Caring for life, too, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the truth.
Right. She helped establish churches
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the first Sunday school in Central City. She'd help anyone, regardless of their race or faith, and uses her home as a safe haven and community hub. And she continued to search for her family that whole time.
Man, that's so heartbreaking.
Especially through a Civil War. Mm-hmm. You don't know. That's very scary. You don't know what happened to him. Yeah. This is where things kind of turned sad. There was a fire that destroyed her home and her properties. God knows if that fire was on purpose or accident.
Yeah, because you had also mentioned that the paperwork that was got, yeah, it was gotten to prove that she owned it.
So she loses most of her wealth, but not her spirit. And friends in the community rally around her to set her up. They built her an actual cottage in Denver. I wonder if that's still around. I did not see anything.
We should definitely look into that. It's the power of community, though, especially since she took care of everyone, the least they could do is help her.
Yeah, in her time of need.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like they did, but she did not get any of her property back.
Yeah, insurance money probably wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah, not for a Black woman. In 1879, she acts as a representative for Colorado's governor, Frederick Pitkin. Ends up traveling to Kansas to help African Americans resettle in Colorado after the Civil War. And she uses her own money to fund New Beginnings.
Beautiful. Is that maybe the name of like some organization together too?
No, I think it's just a statement that she her own and other slaves, freed slaves, New Beginnings. In 1882, nearly 80 years old, Clara learns that a woman named Eliza in Iowa may be her lost daughter. She travels to meet her, and they joyfully confirm that they are mother and daughter. After 47 years, Clara finally finds one of her kids.
One of four.
The other one's passed away. I did not see where exactly how that happens.
Probably not very good record of it.
And back then, it literally could have been anything worse. When she finally finds her.
Yeah, whatever mom is, it's beautiful. I mean, to be able to get that experience with Frida. It's a little bit of closure. Yeah. And we returned to Colorado together.
Oh, they did?
That's what you make here.
Came back together.
Passing in legacy. Clara Brown passes peacefully in Denver, surrounded by those who loved her. Her funeral was attended by the governor and the mayor at the time, a testament to her impact. The Colorado Pioneer Association funds her funeral.
They might be the ones that keep up.
That's what I was about to say. Is the Pioneer Association might be who put her headstone here and keeps it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, names her their first African American member. I bet it is. I bet it
is. What an amazing story. And that's just really scratching the surface.
Yeah, there's a lot to, her travels to Colorado that we don't know. Definitely one of the more interesting parts of Colorado history.
I unfortunately did not know anything about Clara Brown before.
I had no idea.
Us doing this. So glad that we got the chance to have lunch with Clara and learn about her story.
Yeah, the educational part is very beautiful. She was such a wonderful person.
Well, here's to Clara.
Here's to Clara.